I think that the difference between an engineer and a producer varies from project to project. If you're working with a band who's brought in a producer because they like work that that producer's done in the past, then the engineer is really more of just a facilitator towards the producer's intention. Whereas if you're engineering and there's no producer, the band's producing themselves, sometimes you'll have a lot more liberty to say, you know, wait a minute, I got an idea, why don't we try this? Tell me what you think this sounds like. But if there's a set producer doing that role, then he's going to be like, I want it to sound like this. And it's your job as the engineer to do whatever technically you have to do to achieve the producer's vision. So depending on the personnel of the project and the band's sort of the way they've decided they want to make their album, it can vary a lot. A lot of times on lower budget stuff, you're the producer and the engineer and everything all rolled up in one, and you're working together with the band. It's my favorite thing to produce or co-produce with the artists themselves. Obviously, you know, I don't like to take a band and change them too much. I love them to keep their own originality and their own sound, and I just try to make it better, maybe try some different instruments or different miking techniques, but still maintain the original intention of the artist. I think there's a big difference between doing front of house live sound and doing more studio engineering. Live sound, I kind of think of the difference between the two as recording in a studio is a lot like an operation in a hospital. All your tools are there. It's a very clean, controlled environment. If you need something, you can stop and get it. There's someone that can hand it to you. If you're doing live sound, it's kind of like camping. And you got a roll of duct tape and you got 2 seconds to make it work. Go. It's a lot of problem solving and making the best of your situation in a small amount of time. In the studio, you can, we'll get it tomorrow. In live sound, you have 2 seconds to get it right, and that's it. Sure, I was at Coachella with Metric. I was actually doing monitors, stage sound, which is really important to the band because you're mixing not for the audience, but for the sound on the stage so the artists can hear themselves. And, if the artist steps up to the mic and they can't hear their voice, they're not going to be able to have a good show, and it won't matter what's going on out there because they can't hear if they're in tune or not. Live sound, I find, comes down to two main things: is confidence in your decision-making process and personal taste. You have to be like, this is how it should sound, and know that you're right, and not be like, does it sound okay? Do you think that's okay? Should I turn the, confidence in your decisions, knowing that you've got it exactly the way you want it to be, and just your personal taste, because a lot of mixers out there like to play it really safe, and they don't really put their heart into it, and they'll just keep it at it's really balanced, and it sounds all right, but they're not pushing forward. They're not, artists take risks, and musicians pour their heart out, and I find sometimes they're mixed in a really safe manner, and it doesn't, their message isn't getting across the same way as if the person mixing it really believes in it and is taking some risks themselves and pushing things maybe beyond the way they've ever done it before. That's when I find you really get the best live sound, is when the sound engineer is really in tune with the band and willing to take risks themselves.